You handed someone the power to ruin your entire day, and you didn't even realize you did it. Maybe it was a rude coworker who dismissed your idea in front of everyone. Maybe it was a comment from someone you trusted. Something small, but it cut deep. Or maybe it was just a stranger in traffic. A look, a gesture, and somehow, for the next 3 hours, it lived in your head, rent-free. You replayed it. You rehearsed what you should have said. You let it color every conversation, every decision, every moment for the rest of the day. Sound familiar? Here's what I want you to sit with right now. Nobody ruined your day. You let them rent space in your mind, and you paid for it. But here's the thing, that changes today. Because what you're about to hear isn't just motivational talk. These are 10 real, practical lessons that will fundamentally shift the way you respond to people, to criticism, to life's daily frustrations. By the end of this video, you're going to walk away with a different relationship to your own emotions. Not numb, not cold, not indifferent, unshakable. The kind of person who can walk through a storm and not lose their center. Let's get into it. Picture this. You're having a perfectly fine morning. Maybe you're sipping coffee. Maybe you're in a decent mood for once. And then, out of nowhere, someone says something dismissive, rude, thoughtless. And just like that, your whole day is gone. You think, they ruined my day. But here's the truth, and I want you to really let this land. They didn't ruin your day. You reacted. And that reaction is what ruined your day. Now I know that might sting a little, but stay with me. No one, and I mean no one, has the power to control how you feel unless you hand it to them. Your emotions are yours. Your reactions are yours. And the moment you forget that, you've given away the most powerful thing you have. Think of it like this. Imagine you're walking through a busy city wearing noise-canceling headphones. The honking, the yelling, the chaos, it's all still happening, but it doesn't reach you. Mastering your reactions works the same way. The world doesn't have to quiet down for you to have peace. You just need to choose not to let it in. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the Nazi concentration camps, wrote something that has stuck with me for years. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space, that tiny pause between what happens and how you react, that's where everything changes. Here's a real example. Your coworker dismisses your idea in a meeting, makes you look bad in front of others. In that moment, you have two options. Option one, you snap back. You get defensive. You spend the next 4 hours stewing over it. And that coworker, they've completely forgotten about it by lunch. Option two, you pause. You breathe. You ask yourself, is this about me? Or is this their own stress and insecurity coming out? And you choose your response from a place of calm rather than chaos. One option hands in your power. The other keeps it. Your takeaway from lesson one. When you feel triggered, pause. Name what you're feeling. Ask yourself why. Then choose how you want to respond based on your values, not the heat of the moment. Your reaction isn't automatic. It's a choice. And every time you make that choice with intention, you get a little more of your power back. Let me ask you something. Have you ever bent over backward for someone, shown up for them, been honest with them, gone out of your way, and when you needed them, they were nowhere to be found? And instead of just feeling hurt, you felt something else. Something that sounds like, how could they? I would never treat them this way. That's the expectation trap. And it is one of the fastest ways to make yourself miserable. Here's the hard truth. People do not operate by your standards. They operate by their own. Their upbringing, their past experiences, their emotional limitations, their blind spots. All of it shapes how they show up. And none of it has anything to do with you. Expecting everyone to treat you the way you treat them is like expecting everyone to speak your native language. It just doesn't work that way. Expectations are the root of all suffering. Now, this doesn't mean you lower your standards. It doesn't mean you tolerate being treated badly. What it means is that you stop being surprised when people act according to who they are, not who you want them to be. Here's a practical example. You have a coworker who constantly interrupts in meetings. It's annoying. It's disrespectful. But here's the thing. Their habit has nothing to do with you. It's just who they are right now. The moment you stop expecting them to change, you stop giving them the power to frustrate you. Your takeaway: when someone disappoints you, ask yourself, what was I expecting from them? Was that realistic? Then shift your focus from what they should do to how you want to respond. Because your peace is too valuable to be held hostage by someone else's limitations. Be honest with me for a second. When was the last time you got into an argument and halfway through, you kind of knew you might be wrong, but you kept going anyway? We've all been there. That burning urge to prove your point, to win, to make sure they know you're right. But here's what's actually happening underneath that urge. It's not really about the argument. It's about your ego needing to feel safe, validated, not threatened. And when you let that drive your conversations, you don't win. You just damage things. Ask yourself this question and really sit with it. Would you rather be right, or would you rather be at peace? Because most of the time, you can't have both. The Taoist philosopher Lao Tzu said, "He who is attached to his views will never grow." Letting go of the need to be right isn't about backing down from your values. It's about recognizing that not every disagreement needs a winner. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, "I see where you're coming from," and then let it go. Here's the thing about people who always need to be right. They're exhausting to be around. And they're exhausting to be. The people who are truly confident, they don't need to win every argument. They're secure enough to hold their perspective lightly and change it when the evidence warrants it. Your takeaway: before you engage in an argument, ask yourself, is winning this actually going to improve anything in my life? If the answer is no, practice saying these 3 words. You might be right. Then let it go. You're excited about something, an idea, a project, something you've been working on. You share it, and someone, with a dismissive look or a careless comment, just deflates it. Deflates you. And suddenly, the confidence you had 5 minutes ago, gone. Why does that happen? Because somewhere along the way, we were taught, consciously or not, that our value is tied to what other people think of us. But Marcus Aurelius said something that I think about a lot. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. Sit with that. You claim to know yourself better than anyone else does. So why does a stranger's opinion, or even a friend's casual remark, carry more weight than your own assessment of yourself? Here's the filter I want you to use every time someone's words hit you wrong. Ask yourself 2 questions. 1. Is this constructive feedback that could actually help me grow? 2. Or is this just someone's opinion filtered through their own wounds, insecurities, and limitations? If it's the first, take it. Learn from it. Thank them for it. If it's the second, acknowledge it and release it. Their words are not your truth. You wouldn't take medical advice from someone with no medical training. So why would you take judgment about your worth from someone who doesn't even fully understand their own? Your takeaway: your worth is not up for debate. The next time someone's words try to shrink you, pause and remind yourself, their opinion is a reflection of them, not a verdict on me. Here's a pattern I want you to recognize. Someone calls you. You're tired. You had a long day, but you pick up because saying no feels wrong. Because you don't want to disappoint them. Because somehow, other people's needs have trained you to put your own on the back burner. And you say yes. Again. And a little bit of resentment quietly builds. That's what life looks like without boundaries. And it leads to burnout, bitterness, and broken relationships. Ironically, the exact things you were trying to avoid. Here's a reframe I want to give you. Boundaries are not walls. They're not about shutting people out. They are instructions. They tell the people in your life how to love you well. You can't pour from an empty cup. And if you're always giving, always available, always accommodating, you have nothing left to give yourself or anyone else. The beautiful thing about clear boundaries is that they actually improve your relationships. Because instead of showing up drained and resentful, you show up whole. Here's an example of what a boundary sounds like in real life. I care about you and I want to support you, but I need my evenings to recharge. Can we connect tomorrow? That's it. No long explanation. No apology. Firm, kind, and clear. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the ability to live as we wish." You cannot live freely if you're constantly living for others at the expense of yourself. Your takeaway: identify one area of your life where you've been saying yes when you mean no. This week, practice saying, "I can't do that right now, but I can do this instead." Start small. Build the muscle. I want to tell you about a trap that most people don't even realize they're in. It's called approval seeking. And it looks like this. You make decisions based on what other people will think. You hold yourself back because you're afraid of being judged. You change who you're depending on who's in the room. And underneath all of it is one desperate question. Do they approve of me? Here's the problem with chasing approval. It never ends. Because people's opinions are always changing, always shifting, always based on their own filters and biases, you'll never satisfy everyone. And in trying to, you lose yourself. Lao Tzu said it plainly. Care about people's approval, and you will always be their prisoner. Think about the last time you wore something you loved, and someone made a comment, or share an idea you believed in, and someone shut it down. The question isn't whether they approved. The question is, why did their approval matter more than your own? Detaching from opinions doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop letting their perceptions write your story. You filter feedback through one lens. Does this help me grow, or is this just noise? Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Growth often looks weird from the outside. The most successful, fulfilled people are rarely the most popular, because they chose their path over other people's comfort. Your takeaway: today, do one thing that you'd normally hold back on because of what someone might think. Let their reaction be their business. Your life is yours to live. Someone says something. It's provocative, maybe even cruel. You feel it, the heat rising in your chest, the words forming, the urge to fire back something sharp, something that lands. And here's what I want to tell you. The most powerful response you can give is nothing. Not because you're weak, not because you don't have a comeback, but because you're smart enough to know that silence is a weapon most people never master. When someone is trying to provoke you, they want a reaction. The reaction is the whole point. It validates them. It gives them power over your emotional state. It lets them know they got to you. Silence denies them all of that. The best answer to anger is silence. Marcus Aurelius. Think about this scenario. Someone undermines you in a public meeting, makes a jab at your work in front of your colleagues. You have two options. You argue back. Now it's a scene. Now you look reactive. Now they've successfully pulled you down to their level. Or you pause. You hold eye contact. You say nothing. And you let the room draw its own conclusions. Silence doesn't mean you're a pushover. Silence means you choose when and how to use your words. And you don't waste them on people who are simply looking for a fight. The Buddhist teaching says, speak only if it improves upon the silence. How many arguments have you regretted because you said something in anger that you couldn't take back? Silence removes that regret entirely. Your takeaway: the next time someone provokes you, try this. Take one slow breath. Ask yourself, will responding add value, or Just fuel the fire. Then act accordingly. Most of the time, silence is the most powerful answer you have. You're having one of those days. Everything is going sideways. You're running late. Something at work fell through. Someone said something that stuck with you. And now the smallest inconveniences feel enormous. Here's something I want you to try the next time that happens. And I know it might sound too simple, but stay with me. Right in the middle of that spiral, stop and name 3 things you're genuinely grateful for. Not big things. Anything. The coffee that was actually good this morning. The fact that you have a car. The song that came on at exactly the right moment. Here's why this works. You cannot feel genuinely grateful and genuinely angry at the same time. They cannot coexist. Gratitude doesn't deny your frustration. It doesn't pretend everything is fine. What it does is interrupt the loop. It breaks the spiral. It redirects your nervous system from threat mode back to baseline. The philosopher Cicero wrote, "Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others." When you're stuck in traffic and running late, your anger doesn't make the traffic move, but your anger does make your blood pressure rise, your thinking worse, and your day harder. Gratitude doesn't change the traffic, it changes you. And here's the long game. People who practice gratitude daily, not as a one-time trick, but as a consistent habit, they rewire their baseline. They start to naturally see more of what's working. Not because life gets easier, because their attention gets trained. Your takeaway: start a 3-line gratitude practice. Every morning, write down 3 specific things you're grateful for. Not generic, specific. The more vivid and real it feels, the more effective it becomes. Here's a scenario. You put real effort into something. A project, a presentation, a creative piece. You're proud of it. And then someone, maybe a colleague, maybe a family member, hits you with harsh feedback. And your first instinct is to shut down, or defend, or decide they just don't understand. I get it. Criticism hurts, especially when it comes without much care for how it lands. But here's the reframe I want to offer you. What if criticism, even when it's delivered badly, is actually data, not a verdict, not a judgment of your worth, just information? And information is something you can use. There's a quote I love: criticism, like rain, should be gentle enough to nourish growth without destroying the roots. The world doesn't always deliver feedback gently, but that doesn't mean there's nothing worth extracting from it. Here's the filter I use. When I receive criticism, I ask 2 questions. First, is there anything true in this? Not is it fair? Not is it kindly delivered? Just, is there a grain of truth I can use? Second, what does this tell me about the person delivering it? Their biases, their frustrations, their own limitations. Keep what helps you grow. Release the rest. Epictetus said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, don't make excuses. Just answer, 'He does not know my other faults,' or he would not have mentioned only these." That Stoic perspective is powerful. You're not threatened by criticism because you're not dependent on other people's approval to feel secure. And here's the irony. The people who are most open to feedback, who welcome it instead of fearing it, who treat it as information rather than attack, those are the people who improve the fastest. The people who become genuinely great. Because growth requires honesty. And sometimes the most honest feedback is the hardest to hear. Your takeaway: the next time you receive criticism, pause before defending yourself. Ask, is there a 1% truth in this that I can use? Even if the answer is no, you've turned a reactive moment into a reflective one, and that shift changes everything. I want to leave you with the most important lesson of all, because everything we've talked about today, managing reactions, setting boundaries, detaching from opinions, reframing criticism, all of it leads here, to the thing that is probably the hardest, and also the most freeing thing you will ever do. Letting go. Think about something someone did to you. A betrayal, an unfair judgment, a moment where you were wronged and never got the acknowledgement you deserved. Now think about how long you've been carrying that. The Buddha said it this way, and I want this to really land. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That anger isn't hurting them. It probably moved on. Maybe they've forgotten the whole thing. But it's living in you, taking up space, coloring your mood, shaping how you show up. Letting go is not the same as saying what happened was okay. It's not forgiveness as weakness. It is a deliberate, courageous choice to say, I am not going to let this moment define my future. Lao Tzu wrote, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. That's the real gift of letting go. You're not just releasing the past. You're creating space for something better to come in. Here's what makes this hard. We often confuse holding on with strength, as if letting go means we didn't care enough, as if moving on means they won. But real strength is choosing your peace over your pride. It's recognizing that your energy is precious, and that spending it on resentment is a luxury you can't afford. Marcus Aurelius wrote, do not be disturbed by what is outside your power. Let it go, and you'll find peace. What happened, happened. You can't change it, but you can decide right now what you're going to carry forward. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is put it down. Your takeaway. Think of one thing, one grudge, one regret, one resentment you've been carrying. Write it down, then write this next to it. I'm choosing to release this. Not for them, for me. So those are the 10 lessons. Let me recap them quickly. 1. Your reactions are always your choice. 2. Stop expecting people to be like you. 3. Let go of the need to be right. 4. Their words are not your truth. 5. Set boundaries without guilt. 6. Detach from other people's opinions. 7. Respond with silence, not anger. 8. Use gratitude to break the anger loop. 9. Treat criticism as data, not damage. 10. Master the art of letting go. None of this is about becoming cold or indifferent or shutting people out. It's about becoming someone who cannot be rattled, someone who chooses their response, someone who protects their peace, not because the world is perfect, but because you know you're worth protecting. Emotional mastery isn't a destination, it's a practice. And every single day you choose calm over chaos, you get a little better at it. If this hit home, share it with someone who needs it. Drop a comment below telling me which lesson was the one for you. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. You deserve it.